Hi, Malik. Is now still a good time to chat?
Most definitely. Let me just close the door so my kids don't ruin the show again.
Please take your time.
I am all yours now. In your email, you said you wanted to talk about our ETF and index funds risk assessment. I have to be honest. When I saw that email, my first thought was, why would we talk about those products? They only track an index. We usually talk about hard-to-price investments, not easy-to-price ones.
Well, I take pride in bringing relevant topics to you ahead of them becoming an issue. Hopefully, these discussions help you to manage your business proactively.
I always appreciate this, Laura. So why is this topic important now?
Well, first and foremost, as you know, the passive investment strategy has been increasing significantly over the years, and it's fair to state that the trend is not going to stop now. As a result of this, the capital markets, including your funds, are relying more and more on the data provided by index providers. This rapid growth, coupled with the increased customization of index-driven investment strategies, like the ESG funds we talked about a few weeks ago, leads to increased risk. As you well know, the data that you license from your index provider's data is not subject to an external audit requirement. Regardless, you'll want the data to be complete and accurate, so you and your stakeholders feel comfortable relying on it. Would you agree with that?
I hear your point. Regardless of auditing requirements, I clearly would like to be comfortable that the indexes that my funds track are in line with the investment strategy my investors expect and are functioning in the way that they were designed. There is no doubt that my investors expect nothing less than that. To your point about auditing the data provided by index providers, do you have any insights if regulators are aware of this and are thinking about potential solutions?
It's hard for me to talk on behalf of regulators. However, it's clear that the index industry has seen notable errors, which have made the news headlines. The errors noted varied in nature. Some errors related to index providers not following their methodologies consistently, sometimes including stocks they should not have included within the index based on the investment strategy. Other times, the errors were due to the fund sponsor not investing in accordance with the index methodology. Each of these errors subjected the fund sponsor to a significant amount of monetary loss, as well as reputational harm. As a fund sponsor, I'm sure you want to manage the risk and liability associated with errors of this magnitude.
I do remember seeing these errors in the press. You're right. Now that you reminded me, at the time they happened, it made me wonder if our systems and processes were as sound as I thought. I guess it might be the right time to think about that now to prevent being the next one to make the headline. I definitely don't need that type of publicity. This makes me also think that the recent market volatility, including knock-on impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on a global scale, has led to increased volatility. The increased volatility has only made me more worried that if something goes wrong, it could go very wrong. Now I completely understand why you wanted to have this conversation now.
On the regulatory front, what I can also tell is that the SEC has shared their views on this topic many times, and the EU has increased its oversight with the introduction of the EU benchmark regulations.
This is all very interesting. I do appreciate you bringing this to my attention. Now, I only have so much insight into the index providers' processes. We ask a lot of questions during our due diligence reviews, but I'm not sure that I've been pointed enough to ask how their controls mitigate the risks of some of the errors that have happened in the past. I also want to make sure that I am mitigating the risk in my oversight of the funds. For instance, the most basic control we have is to make sure that all of my funds track their assigned index. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm glad you asked. One of the errors noted related to an index fund which did not rebalance its portfolio in a timely manner, causing the performance of the fund to deviate from the index it intended to track. We are developing a monitoring tool that helps illustrate this perfectly. Let me just share my screen with you and launch the application.